Hey everybody, today I'm doing an overview of this JP-Rath alto trombone. We already did overviews of the bass trombone and both tenor trombones, so check the description for links to those. And make sure you're subscribed and you click that bell notification because this Saturday I'll be doing an arrangement on only JP-Rath instruments. So for those of you who've wanted to hear these in action and see what they really sound like, you will do that very shortly. And if you're watching this after the week it was posted, you can find out right away. I'll put a link to that video in the description here. As always, if you do end up wanting to purchase one of these instruments, you can do so at dfmusicinc.com, and just make sure you use the coupon code CBRATH10 for 10% off. We're back here with Rich Galime from DF Music, and we were just talking about bass trombone and tenor trombones from JP-Rath, and this is the alto trombone. So welcome, Rich.
Hey.
And what can you tell me about the alto?
Well, it's an alto trombone.
Okay.
Just like we've talked about with the bass trombones and the tenors.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael Rath, who makes Rath trombones in the UK, designed these instruments specifically for John Packer.
Okay.
So that's where the JP-Rath comes from. Because this is the highest end thing that John Packer does in their student to advanced instruments, it's got their best brass, it's going to be their finest quality finish, it's got the nicest case. The brass is 80/20, so it's a little bit of a darker yellow brass. It's got a beautiful tone to it. This alto comes in at just under $1,000, which is kind of a huge deal for alto trombones. There's not a lot out there in that market for $1,000.
Oh.
What I found, like, the next closest thing we're going to find in alto trombones that isn't some, like, no-name off-brand thing,
Sure.
you know, it's going to be like $2,400 to $2,500. And
Yeah.
like if you're looking at like a Yamaha custom or even like a really nice Besson, they're great horns.
Sure.
It's just in terms of alto usage,
Yeah.
you know, $3,000 for an alto trombone is
Right.
is kind of up there.
Yeah, and I don't know. For me, I had an alto trombone from Consulmer, and they gave it to me while I was working with them, and then after we stopped working together, they wanted it back or for me to pay for it.
Right.
And I think it was almost $3,000.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I was like, you can have it. Like, I don't play it that much. It was great to have for when I needed it, but it wasn't worth $3,000 to just have it sit literally on my wall most of the time, and then once in a while as a gimmick or as a melodic line up there. And so I gave it back.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not to say, again, you weren't giving it back to Consulmer because it wasn't a good instrument.
No, it's a great
instrument.
instrument.
Great instrument.
Yeah.
It's just what trombone players need from an alto trombone. Just it's hard, you know, to find that right price point. And there's not a lot of manufacturers out there who are willing to make an intermediate level, you know, price pointed alto trombone for the same reason we're talking about.
Right.
There's just not a lot of demand for alto trombone out there. But for those who need it, and in particular, I mean, I'd love to say this is great for a high school student because it's that price point.
Yeah.
And it is, but I've done way more with professionals who are freelancers and gigging all the time who are like, I just need an alto trombone that works, plays good, and I know it's going to be there. But it doesn't cost me, you know, $3,000 because I'm just the amount of gigs I got don't warrant that.
Yeah, it'll never pay for itself.
Exactly.
That,
And if you're a freelancer, you need it to pay for itself.
Yeah.
And that's where this comes in. Michael Rath designed it. It's a great horn. He works on the tunings for these horns to make sure JP is getting the best out of the instrument. So for under $1,000, it's a game changer for doublers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
I absolutely would have bought this horn in college if it existed, because I was in school for classical music, and there was rep I wanted to play, alto trombone concerto, and I didn't want to buy an alto trombone.
No.
And there wasn't anything like this out there that was at this price point, and so it was just like, are you going to buy an alto trombone that you don't know how to play?
Right.
Are you going to buy an instrument, a professional instrument, that you don't know how to play?
Right,
Which is what it is.
Because they're not making a entry-level alto. It's, here's our alto, and that's that.
The only option is to buy a professional instrument that you don't know how to play. And then learn on it. Which you would never do with anything else. And so up until this point, I've literally been recommending people buy the P-Bone Mini. which is an alto,
It's
a
an alto.
plastic
Yeah.
alto, because then at least they could learn the slide positions and the
Right.
the buzzing on it. So this is cool to have that. Like, I mean, it's a big step from P-Bone Mini to
Yes.
this, but it's a lot closer than what it used to be, which is like whatever it was, $60 to
Yeah.
$2,500,
Yeah. This is an instrument that a professional could take on a gig
which
and
is so
use
cool.
in a paid orchestra or whatever they needed it for.
Yeah.
To do their doubling
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have it work.
Yeah. So I
And not be
Yeah.
embarrassed because it's green.
exactly. That's the thing. Like, you could learn on a P-Bone Mini, but then eventually, if you want to actually play it
Right.
for something, you're going to want something like this. It's a low bar for alto trombone. Like, I need it to sound good and be an alto trombone,
Right.
and like hopefully not.
Well, I mean,
cost
that's
an
why my
arm and a leg.
first technical spec about this was...
It's an alto trombone.
It's an alto trombone.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
step one,
Alright.
completed.
Let's play it.
Yeah.
See?
That's up there.
That's awesome. So it's under $1,000?
Yeah, I think it's like $950,
Wow.
$960 something on my website.
That's great.
So it's a really good price point for that instrument.
Yeah.
Looks great, plays nice.
Certainly.
Nice case.
Nice case.
Yeah.
Well, that's important. I would definitely recommend that to any college student. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who would be in the market for something like this, but my past is like, yeah, I was a conservatory student
Right.
for classical trombone, and it's like, I can't spend $4,000,
Yeah, I
on
do
one
know.
horn. So, and so I just didn't learn alto trombone. That was literally, I just didn't learn alto trombone.
Well, I think that happens with a lot of trombone players.
Mhm.
And, it's nice to be able to play on those different instruments.
Yeah.
As a trombone player, it's the same thing. Like, we've got E flat, we've got pick, and it seems like for trombone players, schools will have those around,
Sure.
but it's not always that way for trombone
No.
players.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this is like a regular trombone. First position is B flat. It's built on the B flat harmonic series. This is an E flat, so it's up a fourth, and it's every single position is different. And with other instruments, the music will transpose in a different way, where maybe it's easier to read. With alto trombone, you are playing a new instrument because all the slide positions are different and all the notes are different, and also the music changes, but it's in the same key, because now you're reading alto clef. And so you have no idea what notes you're reading, and you don't even know where to put the slide, even if you did know which notes you were reading. And so it's just kind of this huge mess that, like, you just have to learn a new instrument, really.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to read new music in a new way and a new instrument. It's really hard to do if you don't own an alto trombone.
That's right, yeah, it is.
Because even if you learn how to read, like I said, alto clef on a tenor trombone, that's only half the battle, because now all the slide positions are different. So this is cool. As much as I'm saying, like, you should get one of these if you want one, I'm going to get one of these because I want one. So I'll be playing the JP-Rath alto trombone, hopefully in future videos. And yeah, if you want to get one as well, or you have questions about this, you can check links in the description. Contact Rich directly, DF Music, and he'll answer whatever questions you have. And if you do end up wanting to buy one of these or any of the JP-Rath instruments, you can use the coupon code CBRath10 for 10% off.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to say about the alto?
No, I think it's such a good instrument that's available.
Yeah.
And for that, I mean, that was my main reason for trying to get some word out about it. To have something available like that, and then find out about it later,
Yeah.
it's such a bummer. So
Yeah.
the more we can sort of spread the word that, like, hey, here's a great option for this alto, the better I think we're helping the music community, and that's really my main goal with everything I'm doing. So
Yeah, well, right. That not just the alto, all of these instruments that we're talking about, all the JP or JP-Rath,
Yeah.
That's really what we're saying is, like, if you haven't heard of these, you should make sure you're familiar with them. So when you're making a big decision like buying a horn, you're making an informed decision about everything that's out there. So if you haven't heard about the JP or the JP-Rath, hopefully you learned a lot, and now when you go to make that investment, you'll know what's out there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks so much for watching, and again, make sure you're subscribed and you click that notification bell because I'll be doing that arrangement on only JP-Rath instruments this Saturday, so you can see what they really sound like in action, and believe me, I push them to the limits. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you Saturday.